That was it doesn't have much effect. This one is not very loud. So we want to welcome everyone out to our work session, October 19th, 2021. Mayor we'd like to excuse him tonight, but we recognize City Council is with us tonight. We will be waiting on Councilmember Lamone. Hopefully we'll walk through the door pretty soon. We're going to skip item number 1 for right now and move to item number 2, outstanding employees recognition. Scott.
Thank you. Let me just give you a brief recap of how we got here today. Back in the end of August, we had a positive E. coli test in our water system, which is the second time that we've had in the last, they were about a year apart. Obviously, it is not a great moment when we find out about that test. And at that point, our focus is on getting the water service back to where it needs to be as quickly as possible. In order to do that, it takes a lot of hands in order to have that happen. And what I would describe, and I think we could all describe as adversity, is something that hit us at that moment. But in order to resolve the issues, it was employees stepping up and helping out. So even though this was something not ideal for our residents, not ideal for us as a city, we did see a lot of positives as far as the response from the city, particularly the employees and what they did. So what we'd like to do tonight is to recognize those employees and talk a little bit specifically about what they did that was really above and beyond what they normally do in the course of their work. So I'm going to start with some on the admin side of things, and I'm going to have Marty get up and talk about the public works side and the efforts that went on that behalf, and then I'll wrap it up as soon as Marty's done. So the first two people I'd like to recognize are Kathy and Kara Kresser. And I don't know if they want to come up here. Okay, they want to come up.
She actually was shaking her head that she wanted to come up.
Okay, yes. So if
Well,
they can maybe come stand here just for a second.
Okay.
Now, we do have a little gift form. We're going to hand that out at another time. We're not going to do that tonight, but we do want to recognize. So the key point to this, as soon as we get notification of this, we have to put together a lot of information very quickly, because once we unveil this to the public, we know we're going to get 1,000, well, more than 1,000 questions. We're going to get a lot of questions. And so in order to do that, we have to get everything set up so as soon as we go public with this, we have people ready to go. So when we went public, it was about 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the afternoon. So this was when everybody's getting ready to go home. And we know that we need people to answer phones with all the questions we're going to be inundated with. I had both Kathy and Kara volunteer to say, hey, I will stay late tonight. We had all the phone calls routed to Public Works. And so they went over to Public Works and they helped answer those phone calls. I think you guys went till about 8 o'clock that night, so 5:30 to 8, about 2.5 hours of nonstop calls, right? I mean, just as soon as you hang up, phone ring, hang up, phone ring. Answering questions that people had. Well, when it came time to release the boil order, which again, I think was about 6 p.m., if I remember, in the evening, we needed people again to answer phone calls. Now, we didn't get as many when we lifted the boil order, but there were still people calling with questions. Again, these two volunteered to come down to Public Works and help out. I think it's an hour and a half. That wasn't as long of a night. But those were a little more happier phone calls that we got to help. So anyway, we like to recognize them for staying after hours to helping out in that situation. I think they're probably going to want to sit down now, so we'll let them sit down.
Okay.
If any of the employees want to give a speech, they're more than welcome to give a speech. But if I can have Scott Wells come up. So as Scott's coming up here, as we did this back in 2020 over Labor Day, the first time we had the boil order, our response to getting the word out was a little haphazard. We learned a ton of lessons on ways that we can get this information out to the public as quickly as possible and as succinct as possible. So Scott, we have, through our utility billing, we have a myriad of cell phone numbers. And Scott uses a texting program, so if somebody's late on their payment or if they are getting ready to be shut off, he has an ability to send them a text. Well, we have an ability to send a text to everybody that we have a cell number for. So again, the night that the word went out, and also the night that we lifted the boil order, Scott came in after hours to have that all set up and ready to go. Now, when we lifted the boil order, if you remember, we had everybody all lined up on Sunday night, and then we had the one bad test out of the 20 whatever tests we took. And so that pushed it for one more evening. So we had everybody here at City Hall or at Public Works ready to go. Scott was one of them. But then we had to send them home and say, okay, we're going to try this again, hopefully tomorrow. And so then we were able to do that on Monday. But Scott, again, is one of those that said, hey, here's a way that I can communicate with people. So between that and Everbridge, I think that we had quite a few people that got more than one text. In fact, we had some people say, quit texting me. Okay, I got the idea. Well, we were much rather have them get 2 or 3 texts from us than no texts. So anyway, Scott was instrumental in getting that word out and helping us with also when we put the boil order on and when we lifted it. So Scott well. Okay, Kyler, why don't you come stand over here?
Yeah, make it, yeah.
Okay, so again, lessons learned from the first boil order. The first boil order that went out, we had a static map that just showed what zone you were in and whether you were in the zone or not. And you could kind of zoom in on the map, but it was a little bit difficult for some people, particularly those that were right on the border of the 2 different zones, whether they were in the zone or out. So Kyler said, hey, I just need some information. He was able to get it. I can create an interactive map that people can go in, they can scroll in and really get to the crux of where their house is, or they can even put in their address and it will show whether they are in the zone or not. Now this map was super helpful. 100,000 views, what do we end up with? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, pretty much.
His own TikTok and everything. Yeah. It's pretty big.
So that interactive map probably saved us quite a few phone calls. We still had people call in just because they wanted to make sure whether they were in or out of the zone. But that interactive map was just wonderful. Now, we also had our person that handles Everbridge, our backup person that handles Everbridge were not available that weekend to help with this. And so Kyler, fortunately, in the previous city he was in, is trained on Everbridge. And so he was able to help us get the word out. And also when we lifted the boil order, if you got the voice part of that, that was Kyler talking, telling people this is what you need to do. So when you get the call, if you don't answer the call, or was it a text first and then a call? I mean, Everbridge works in a way that if you get a text and you don't reply to the text saying, I got it, essentially, then you're going to get a phone call with the voice. And an email, I believe. I mean, eventually, Everbridge is going to get that message to you until you acknowledge that you've received it. But anyway, with Kyler having that knowledge of Everbridge, our response as far as getting the word out to people and the timeliness of when we could lift the boil order, Kyler was super helpful with that. So if we can give him a hand.
And just being the tech guy, tell me what application you used for the map.
This is going to get super techie.
Google.
Just Google Maps.
Maps.
Google Maps. If you use a KML file, you can.
Yeah.
So we had the engineers created a KML file that just uploads straight into
upload it. Perfect. Awesome.
It was awesome. And I'm glad we have a guy like Kyler that can help solve problems when you have a guy like me who doesn't necessarily understand that world very well, because that is critical. And I mean, most people are getting this information on their phone. And so they were able to access what they needed. Some were on their computers, but most were on their handheld device when they were doing that. So with that, let me turn it over to Marty, and he's going to recognize those that, and I'm just going to say this just in general. I can't even remember what night it was, the first night there, second night, when I think I was at Public Works till about 10:30. We had pretty much the whole crew there, just doing all these things to try to figure out how we were going to solve the problem. And it just warms my heart when I see employees that are just saying, hey, I mean, I'm here for you, city. I'm going to do what we can to get this job done. You know, I mean, they're getting paid overtime hours, but this is so much more than just a paycheck. This is people's time, saying I'm taking time away from my family or whatever else I have going on to make sure the city's taken care of. So with that, I'll turn it to Marty.
Marty, it looks like you have a speech written on that phone or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, there's a lot more names than
Oh, okay.
just four like Scott had, so I wanted to make sure I didn't forget somebody in that, but never a pleasant experience to go through this, and hope to never go through it again, and hope we can really effectively make sure that that doesn't happen, and we've made some great changes, and I think we're moving in the right direction. You never know, and that's the thing that in any one of these situations, it's just like, okay, what caused this, and how do we get through this? And the great thing is that when you have very experienced and knowledgeable employees, then you have an ability to kind of say, hey, what about this, and what about that, and what do we do here? And it's very, very important in our processing and in having those people that have the knowledge to do that. And so I would say, you know, in me coming from the engineering side of things into the public works side of things, that's one of the things that I love, is that I get to work with these guys that are boots on the ground, getting the work done. They know every in and out of our system, and if we make a change here, what are we going to see down here? And that was obvious in this situation. Again, it's bringing in those experienced people and saying, hey, this is where the problem is. How do we get it shut down? How do we isolate the issue? Make sure we're not contaminating anywhere else, and making sure. There was multiple times that some of those guys would make a suggestion, and I was maybe saying something incorrect of making sure that we didn't potentially, you know, contaminate the rest of the zone. And we're like, oh yeah, we need to make sure this valve is closed, make sure that these things are happening, to make sure that we're keeping this isolated to a specific area, and making sure we can get this resolved as soon as possible. Very difficult situation, very uncomfortable situation to be there and having to talk with the Division of Drinking Water about, hey, what are the issues? What's causing this? But great to have the expertise of our Public Works employees. Just some of the guys, if we could just have Greg, Jerry, and Jason come up real quick, and McKenna. You get to get thrown in, McKenna, with the Public Works guys. So first off, whenever you guys want a great water crew team, you will not find a better team than we have at Public Works here in Pleasant Grove. These guys know what they're doing, and they are very competent in what they do. They're very committed and dedicated to our city, and I'm not just bringing these guys up. These guys were amazing in what they did for this experience, but what I found is it doesn't matter the experience. Somebody will be stepping up, willing to jump in the trench. Hey, what do I need to do? How do I get this done? And you just give the direction, and it's on its way. And you know, I think that I saw, you know, Jason's fairly new with the city, a couple years now, and really kind of taking over the role of looking into our culinary water system and making sure that we're getting all of the residuals correct, and all of that kind of stuff. However, Greg, with all of his experience in 37 years now, 38, 39, it just keeps going up. And I guess time for me just flies by. So anyways, he's been here forever, and obviously the knowledge and experience that brings as being our, you know, over our water system is invaluable. So great job. Jerry's always willing. So we had a PRV fell in the middle of this. We have a PRV that's just above the area of the contamination that was found, and we got in there to make sure some of the water that was chlorinated from an upper zone was coming into that zone to try to help clean out this bacteria that gotten in there. And Jerry was the guy that got in that PRV that hadn't been opened for a couple of years, and got to try to get it to open. And as soon as we got a little water flowing, it opened wide open, and then we had to shut it down, and then it closed shut all the way, and that caused a line to burst. And just added more complexity to the overall situation. And it's really tough when you start getting in the ground and figuring out the age of pipes and things of that nature. When you start touching things go wrong. And it's great to have the backup of great crews that know what they're doing. And so thanks, guys, for all that you've done. I'd just like to recognize them for the additional effort that they put in this situation. And I'm going to talk about Kim McKenna in a second, but let's go.
I love this.
So Rhea and McKenna. McKenna was with us a few years ago, and we somehow got her back. We don't know how yet. We talked with her about coming back and working more as an intern for us. She's going to UVU now. I made her commit to 4 years, I think. So we're not going to let her get through school very fast. We'll just keep her working. So, but anyways, they work pretty well hand in hand. They always are jabbing each other back and forth. But McKenna, one of the things that I found is if you just give her something and let her work on it a little bit, she figures out how to get it done. And she's not a GIS person. She's an engineer, but she's learned GIS. And so when this happened, I said, McKenna, we need to do this, this, and this. I need to track this. I need to see it on a map. I need to see where we're taking all of these tests and what are the results of those tests. So as we talk with the state, we can do that. I tasked McKenna to do that, and it worked perfectly. She figured it out. She's not a GIS specialist, but everything that we needed to get done, she figured out a way to get it done. And so we were grateful for that effort. She was there taking phone calls. She was there the entire time. We got there early in the morning. We were there into the evening, many, many nights, every night. And McKenna was right there making sure that she got all the stuff. All the guys were texting her all of the information that we were trying to get onto those maps. And so we were just grateful that McKenna was there and willing to stick with us and really went up and above beyond her what she's asked to do as an intern for the engineering department. But she did awesome for us. So I want to give her a round of applause. She loves recognition.
She does.
And then I want to go ahead and acknowledge all of the guys that really helped out during this, but I don't want to miss somebody. So Brian Stubbs, Cody Watcott, Matt Kennedy, Troy Snow, Trevor Anderson. And then we also had Aaron Wilson and Brenton Tivetan. Just our engineers, we had this issue. They wanted to learn, they wanted to help. They were out doing chlorine residuals. They were out turning valves and checking in meter cans and all this kind of stuff, trying to get things isolated. Everybody really just stepped up and did what needed to be done to take care of that. I remember we were just finishing up, kind of doing some flushing and testing and isolation of an area to try to get things through there. It's 5 o'clock or so, and the entire streets crew shows up and says, what can we do? You know, it's like, how can we help? And I'm just like, I appreciate that. We got to get these last few valves turned if you want to go do this. You know, they were there for 30 minutes, but then we didn't really have anything else for them to do. But that's the type of people that we have. They're willing to jump in, get the job done, and really help out. And again, the water crew, love them all. We're grateful for what they do and their expertise in doing what they do. And the way they handle themselves with our public, with our residents, I think is amazing. We've got some great compliments recently. Troy Snow, I know, had one recently, a great compliment of just going up and beyond to help people understand when there's an issue, how to get through that issue, and then just kind of walking them through hard situations that we sometimes get put in. But our water department does a great job, I feel, of being able to communicate well with our residents and doing the best job that we can to provide safe, clean water and a great level of service in that area. So kudos to all of the public works for what they do. They do a great job. So let's give them all a round of applause, too. And then just in closing, I would say, let's not do this again, but the way that it ran this time was 100% better than the first time. And thanks to Scott and his direction and being able to communicate with the council, And with me, it really helped for me to be able to be and doing what I needed to do and not having to make all of the decisions, and all that was able to just communicate with Scott. That was very helpful. So let's keep that up. If we ever have tough situations, it makes sense to try to keep the director level doing what they needed to keep everybody moving and not doing all the communication with every level in those situations. So that was a great, I guess, win for me. It was a lot less stressful not having to meet and do all those meetings. So, but thanks for all your support too. You guys were awesome during this entire thing. I felt your support the whole time. So, thank you.
I just want to say a quick word. When we have adversity like this hit us, as a manager, I want to feel confident that we have somebody that can deal with this. And so when I know that this was going down and Marty was going to be running point for us to get this resolved, I have every bit of confidence that he has an ability to do this. And it's not just Marty, it's his team, it's the people in this room. And Marty just expressed that he has confidence in them to be able to do this. But these are moments where we need two very important aspects taken care of, and that's the management side of solving the problem and getting it fixed, but also the leadership side of people being able to look at their leader and having confidence that he knows what he's talking about, he or she, depending on the situation. But that we can get things resolved. And so I appreciate Marty for providing that leadership and that management for us to be able to get this done. So thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Oh,
I didn't mention David's name, did I? So I don't want to forget that because David is awesome. So
We can make him stand up.
well, these guys have a treat in store for them. They don't know this yet.
Good.
But I would like if everybody could kind of come up and let's just maybe give everybody a handshake from the council so they can tell you personally thank you. So if everybody can kind of come up and start over here with Sid and work your way this way.
This is like an anti-hug.
I'm gonna do it.
I'll do it.
Just because.
Fist bumps,
I know, I like.
whatever you need to do.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep training, doing well. Scott, as always, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I love this girl.
And does the rest of the council know what GIS is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
The mapping. It's all about mapping.
What does it stand for?
Geothermal,
Geothermal.
GIS? Is that what you're asking?
geographical
That's it.
Geographical information systems.
So Scott, so yes, on behalf of the mayor's not here, but on behalf of the mayor and the council, really we thank you because, you know, we sit in these seats or at home or wherever we may be when these types of incidents happen. And we know that there's professionals out in the field taking care of it. And we're not the professionals up here, you are. And so we want to say thank you for your time and your dedication to the city. It really showed, it has showed in all these incidents, right? And we're able to tell the citizens the professionals are on it. And so thank you.
Just one last word. Again, we appreciate, we've already talked about this, but through the course of this, the support of our elected officials is important. We want to feel that we have your confidence so that we can proceed and get things done. And during this whole process, I mean, I was the one exchanging texts with you, but boy, did I feel the support, and I tried to let that trickle down as much as we could to our employees to know that you guys were with us. Because sometimes when these things happen, you know, if our elected officials are kind of jumping ship and, hey, it's the employee's problem and things like that, that doesn't make us feel very good, but you guys were right there with us the whole time, so thank you for doing that. We appreciate that. We won't make them stay the rest of the meeting.
Oh,
If
make
they
'em
wanna
stay.
leave,
What? Oh.
You guys are more than welcome to leave.
They
but
bring
thank
our
you for
numbers
coming.
up. It only helps, right? Yeah.
Have a great night, and thanks
Yeah,
for all you
thank
do. Thank you.
Let's not do this again.
Yeah.
So Scott, it doesn't look like our community service award is here, so we'll move on to,
Let's hold on to it, and
next
then
meeting?
if you want to reconnect with them, Diana, and our
or do we want to
next,
put somebody else in charge? She didn't do a very good job this last time, so I don't know.
I thought she did pretty good. I think she at least contacted us.
Okay, we'll let Diana go and meet with them and
Okay.
then bring them back.
You and I will.
So with that, we can do staff business, and after staff business, we can review the agenda real quick, so.
Okay. All right, you know, we're gonna bring Tyler up first. Come on up. Yeah, you know, that beard is looking pretty good,
He's
so.
sporting
yeah.
a new look.
That was just overnight.
It was. Some of us have to start in October for No Shave November to keep up with the others that can actually do it. So, Recreation Center, we are just in full gear right now. We're right in the middle of, you name it, dance, gymnastics, volleyball, basketball, flag football. They're going to go out and play tonight. It's not a good year. We do Tuesday
Yeah, I
nights, and
know.
I think
Guess
every
what time
Tuesday.
Riders game is?
I'm sorry. I'm
9
at,
p.m.
yeah, I'm at 8, so I
I'm
might
just
see
kidding. It's
you
fine.
there.
Go get some hot cocoa. It's blanket. I love it. It's great.
There's hot chocolate in the concessions, so
that's
get your
great.
hot chocolate.
Yeah.
But it seems like every Tuesday's had snow or rain but anyway,
It's all part of the experience.
it is. It's fun. The kids love it. The parents are, but just an event and a couple things that I wanted to talk about with the Shauna Golightly is one of our fitness instructors, and you might have seen on social media that she advertised this pink party at the rec center for high fitness. It's a big old, and she sent out with tons of different vendors, businesses. She came down, or she was diagnosed with a breast cancer a few months back, and it was very rare. I can't even remember the name of it. I'll butcher it if I say it, but a very rare kind of breast cancer, and she had to overcome that, and she did. But there wasn't a lot of awareness to this breast cancer, so she really wanted to bring attention to it. And so she took this opportunity through the rec center and her skills of being a fitness instructor and ran an event that was very well attended. And she ended up raising $3,000 to go to that. And
That's
so
awesome.
it was awesome to see the community support. We had vendors from our 19 Main was there. Just a lot of local vendors that came out and supported it, and it was really awesome to see. So great event. We're doing another event tomorrow for our Zumba Halloween. It's more of a fun, just a Zumba Halloween event. And then Monday we have our drive-through trunk or treat. It's the sign-ups we're close to full.
Is
so
it too late to sign up?
It's not too late to sign up, but I think there's only a few times, and we're stressing if it's full to maybe come towards the end of it for what's kind of like we did last year.
So don't advertise it.
So you can, but like I'm saying, we're doing 40.
But once it's full, it's
We're
full.
doing 40 to 50 cars every half an hour,
Oh,
and
wow.
starting at 5 o'clock and going till 8 o'clock. So
That's
and those
awesome.
are all filling up, and so we just really want to get a good count so that people that are providing, the businesses that are coming, have a
Like
good
we're
number.
close to, we're over 15 businesses right now, but we're shooting for 20. And then while we're at it, we want to make sure all the different departments are invited to this to come and participate in this. So
We do have some that are planning on it. Were we planning on doing one? Was the city council planning on having?
correct, yes.
Have you guys arranged that, or do we need to arrange?
We'll let you arrange getting the candy for us. We'll be there to hand it out.
What about the tent?
Canopy,
The what?
The canopy, the tent.
canopy and candy we'll take care of.
Okay, yeah.
It looks like rain's going to be part of the
We'll
event.
bring our own chairs and costumes. How's
You
that?
know what? That's even better though for the cars. Well, not for the people giving out the candy,
But not walking around in the rain and
but the
everything.
kids that walk in the rain. That's good.
Yeah.
It was only
so-
20 degrees last year. Well, at least we'll be up a little bit there. So
For the other one.
Oh, for Linden? We don't talk about, no.
Okay, got it.
Sorry, we're good, Tyler. We're
no,
good.
just make sure everyone's on the same page for that.
Just like wasn't
We'll
there
get with
another
her,
one?
we'll get with her after.
Okay. No, you're good. that is, and yeah, we're just, November is going to bring, basketball signups are coming right on us, and yeah, so
Okay.
things are going well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel?
Council, Mayor Pro Tem. I always want to say that, Mayor Pro Tem. It sounds really good. You know, as you guys know, my department has 4 divisions: code enforcement, business licensing, planning and zoning, and building. And they're all rock stars. They're amazing. It's a fantastic team. Fantastic team. But today I want to talk about what my building department has done, because usually we don't talk much about those guys. But I only have 3 people in the building department. It's Barbara on the front counter, have Tim Novinger. He's my building official, and he reviews plans as well. So we don't spend a lot of money sending the plans for review. He does in-house work. And then I have Steve, we'll call it Steve. Steve, he's our building inspector. He goes all over the place. Yesterday I was asked for some numbers, and I was looking at it that the year that we thought was the craziest year that we have ever had, the fiscal year of 2019 to 2020, we did 550 building permits. And we thought this is the most we ever done, right? So now I run some numbers from 2020 to 2021, from June to July to June, and we did 777. It's a lot more with the same staff, with the same amount of people. So these 3 guys, the building department, they've been doing amazing. If you guys see them in the front counter, they're always doing something, and I'm really proud of that building team. So I usually never bring up their names, but I think it's a good time for you guys to know Barbara Johnson, Tim Novinger, and Steve Burgi. Amazing, fantastic building team. That's just something I want to tell you guys today.
Awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure.
700 and what?
777. 777. 3 sevens.
We'll just round it up.
Way more than 56 that we did the year before. And we thought that was the craziest year ever. Every year we're topping. So, fantastic team.
Awesome.
Okay.
Easy. All right. Sherry, we'll have you come on up. Welcome, Director.
Thank you. So I have a Halloween thing to add for Sid if she hasn't already gotten it that I didn't mention last time. You might have gotten it already. But we're the teen night, which is kind of a teen afternoon this time.
I got it, the scary short stories.
You got it. Yes. So and
You realize you're just enabling her.
I mean, forget the teens, I want one for adults. Who can write the scariest short story?
that would be fun.
Yeah.
But
Well-
G-rated.
No, this is all, no holds barred.
I'm scared of just anything. That
But-
holiday oil clown.
Well, I think we should have the winner come read a story at your house or something.
That'd be a great idea.
And then November, we've got a family night where the kids can come make turkey puppets, because that'll be in November. Yeah. And other things too, but I just had to inform her of that.
Oh, I know, I got it on the list.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Chief,
They both look at each other.
I know. I did that on purpose, just to see what happened.
Total confusion back there between the.
Yeah.
You need to use a little more arm with that gavel.
Well, I don't want, it's a pretty gavel tonight.
Okay.
So,
All right. We're busy as usual, and I know that everybody always comes up and says we're busy. So as I was walking down here, my assistant was pulling stats for Dallin because he's doing an audit for us. So I pulled just 3 random stats out of the air from last year to this year so far. So parking violations, last year we had 99 citations. This year so far we've had 185 citations, so that almost doubled. So traffic violations. Last year we had 2,552. So far this year we've had 2,961, so that's went up accordingly. Traffic citations, yeah. Physical arrests, last year we had 1,066. So far this year we've had 1,684, so that just gives you an idea of that we are getting more busy and as we grow as a city, so.
And is that since January or year to date? Like
That's from January till today.
Wow.
Till today, yeah, so.
In fact, one day, our daily log, and I don't know, this was like 2
Yeah.
weeks ago, 33 pages.
Yeah, we're busy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we're very busy. Our guys are running, and we've got American Fork coming in here a lot to help us. And we're two guys down as of Friday, but we're going through backgrounds right now to try to fill those 2 positions. So,
Where did those 2 officers just other jobs?
one of them went to the sheriff's office, and one of them's leaving law enforcement to work for Discover Card. So, so
Can I ask a favor, Chief? At
Sure.
one time, I think I already asked, but I think you broke it down into the neighborhoods one time. and
Yes.
Can we get that?
yeah,
I'd
mhm.
just be curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see what we can do.
Okay.
As far as calls, interesting calls go, we haven't had anything too major over the last couple of weeks other than the shooting. I can give you a really quick rundown if you'd like of that.
Yeah.
It occurred in the Gateway Village. There was a group of teenagers, aged 13 to 15. They were living in one of the apartment complexes there. Their father was away. He was in the hospital having surgery, so he hadn't been there in a couple of days. They invited a bunch of friends over. They were all under the age of 15. Somebody brought a bunch of edibles and then a bunch of alcohol there, so there was probably 7 or 8 of them there, and they were just partying. They'd been there for a couple of days. Two kids, I shouldn't say guys, 2 kids, 15-year-olds, one from Lehigh and one was just bouncing around from house to house, showed up at the party. The one that was homeless had brought a handgun that he had traded some marijuana for from someone down in Provo. It was a stolen handgun. What's that? Yeah, yeah. So he had brought a handgun with him. The kid that actually lived in the apartment, he handed it to him. The kid was playing with it. He was pointing it at all of the kids, pointing it at his head. I mean, he assumed it was unloaded, so they were just kind of playing with it. He was acting a fool with it. As he was playing with it, he pointed it down towards the ground and just his finger flinched, pulled the trigger. The bullet went through the ankle of one of the girls and landed in the foot of another one of the girls. That kid dropped the gun and freaked out and took off running and left the apartment and bailed. The kid that brought the gun and his girlfriend grabbed the gun and left the apartment and took off running. And as they were running, they were disassembling the firearm and throwing parts everywhere, down in the storm drain, the main part of the gun into the pond that's over by the Gateway Apartments, and they took off running. So we called that our detective division. We had to basically go bounce around from house to house trying to find those 2 to just even get them there. The fire department, of course, transported both girls to the hospital. We ended up finding the 2 guys and the girl that left the area. The detectives did a really good job. They found every part of the gun, and that was spread out over probably a quarter of a mile, so they did a really good job finding that and put it back together. And so those 2 boys went to detention for second-degree felonies and obstruction and possession of a stolen firearm. And what could have been a serious fatal ended up being a bad situation, but it could have been much worse.
So were the girls who got shot okay?
Yeah, they'll be okay. They're just foot wounds and a leg wound, and they'll be okay. But
Like someone could have been killed.
yeah, seriously.
Very easily.
So
Chief, is our one individual still at large?
you know what? I'm not sure.
Okay, all
I'm
right,
not sure. I'll have to check on that.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, guys. We just love them. So grateful for them.
Chief,
How are you guys doing?
we're good.
Everything's going good. The fire department, like you say, just busy. Like Chief Robert said, we're, call volume's gone up quite a bit and just covering shifts, looking for medics. So we're fully staffed, but we're trying to get some part-time medics to help cover some of our stuff, some of our medic shifts. We have one of our guys is in medic school right now, So he'll be done. Hopefully we'll get one in this next class also. Yeah, just keep busy. Our new ambulance is in service. It's running great. So I invite all you guys to come out and come look at it and look at all the different safety features that are in it and what it does and the ride compared to the old ones that we had. There's a huge difference. It's really nice.
So one was being loaded up yesterday.
Yes.
Where was that going?
Oh, to the dealership
Oh,
to
okay.
get fixed. So we've had a few issues with. We've had one ambo out for about 2 months waiting for a part because everybody's blaming COVID for it's an exhaust part is what it is, and so we're looking at a few different situations now. I think we can get it back in service. It's under warranty, so whether or not we need it real bad, whether I pay for somebody to clean it out, but it's just one of those weird things. But the other one, they told us it was going to be a turbo, and I said no, it's something. So we took it back from the dealership, took it somewhere else, and we'll have it back tomorrow. I think it shouldn't be anything serious. Luckily, I mean it'll be good. So yeah, you did see one on had a little fun ride because I could only get it to drive 10 miles an hour. So it's like, okay, I got to take it somewhere. But with that all being said, we're doing pretty good. I think we'll get it back here by tomorrow. It should be run back up and running. So, and that everything's going really well. The guys are doing great. I know real quick, I haven't said anything about, but our fire marshal, Jake Larson, Chief Larson, we started a new program a little month and a half ago. Didn't say much about it because we want to see how it was going to run. It's called LIVE. It has to do with inspections. And so when companies go out and inspect sprinkler system, hood systems in restaurants, any of those kind of things, we get a live report back from him on whether it passed or not or what the deficiencies are. So we can keep track of that when we do our inspections also. So we kind of hand in hand with the state inspectors and our fire marshal can work through a lot of those things. So we're keeping up to track with a lot of these things that are coming through, new businesses, old ones that have kind of slipped through the cracks as time goes on. We're kind of getting those back in shape. So with that stuff, it looks pretty good, looking great. So
Awesome. Thank you, Chief.
other than that, and the engine and brush truck, they say we're still shooting for January.
Okay. All right.
Great, thanks.
Marty, do you have anything more?
Now, we've got we did have a meeting this morning with Utopia, just kind of give you guys a quick update. I think they indicated they've got 30,000 feet of pipe in the ground for the backbone. They have about 20,000 more to go, but that should happen very quickly. They currently have anywhere between 5 and 6 crews working throughout the city, mainly on the backbone, but we have issued street excavation permits for phases 1, 2, and 3 of the city. There's 5 phases, I believe, that they showed originally. So they're going to be bringing in a few more crews and more focused on the individual neighborhoods, and that will be happening in the next few weeks when they start doing that. So it's getting very busy. We're trying to handle all of that extra workload at Public Works with our blue staking crews. We've had a number of just normal hits with pressure irrigation or culinary water lines, service lines that create an additional demand on the crews of additional things that we're already that we wouldn't normally have to deal with, but it is what it is. It is a big orchestrated thing to get something that through every street in the city, and it's going to be pretty painful for the next couple of years, and we understand that. But so things are moving well, though. I think B. Jackson has been doing a great job of coordinating. They've only had, I think he reported 3 complaints by citizens that they've had to address thus far. Now, they haven't really gotten into the individual neighborhoods, so we expect that might be going, but they've been handling very well. They introduced us to it.
What the complaints have been.
I think it's just more the impact to people's properties, what they're doing there, those types of things is what they've indicated. But they didn't tell me the specific things, but they've talked about those in our past meetings, that we've had this person that was concerned about their front yard and what it looks like. And things. But
So,
How did they hit the gas line on First East? I mean, that,
That's big.
it's a big line.
So I don't know the exact, so they pothole every line when they're boring. They actually dig a hole down and locate that. And my understanding is they did that, but it was 4 feet away where they were actually boring. So they knew the elevation here, but the line changed its elevation where they were actually boring through. They're supposed to bore through the pothole that they dig, and they were off to the side slightly, and the line changed its elevation. So that's what I understood happened, and that's what we had. We had that happen on a culinary water line as well. So they've talked with their crews, and that's not to happen. They need to be boring exactly where they've potholed at the elevation, because you never know if you dip down for some reason and could potentially hit those. So yeah, it's going to be a constant battle for the next year and a half until they get through all of this, but obviously a great benefit in the end, we hope, and hopefully they've been great to work with, though. I guess I can report that is we haven't had a problem of them not wanting to fix or take responsibility for. They're on top of it and doing that, and we'll keep moving. So we're hoping next week the weather will break enough that we can do some milling on Center Street and PG Boulevard. We've had them hold off now for 2 weeks because of the weather. We don't want to get it opened up and then not be able to get it paved. Have to work on that surface. So we are right now, the schedule is next Wednesday that they'll be milling all of that and then be paving it in the next few days after that. It'll be moving fairly quickly. And then we've still got microsurfacing going on. We have the mineral pond will be drained starting December 1st, about that time frame, over the entire winter season until it'll be filled back probably up in April, just before the irrigation season starts again. We've coordinated that with Division of Drinking Water. They didn't do some of their last stocking of the fish this year in the summer, and so we will be draining that down, putting in the pump station on the north end of the pond for feeding into that zone up there. So, but a million things going on right now on all the design work and roadway work, and it's going to be a fun year next year. Everything's moving forward with UDOT, getting ready to put out their plans to bid to move forward on the North County PG Boulevard projects. We've had got a meeting with them next week. We had a 2-hour meeting last week and the week before that, and they're on their way to get that moving. And so, but yeah, things are moving and good things are happening. So.
Marty, is there, on the Utopia, we talked about that very first meeting I sat in with Mayor. Any way we can get some information to Lisa to brag about what they've done and what's coming? Is there a way that we can get, we talked about outdoing our neighbor to the east, kind of over here, Linden, and great marketing helps with that, good things coming, and so.
Yeah, we talked about holding kind of this initial kickoff meeting with their people that are working on the website and things of that nature. I don't know that we've ever got that meeting scheduled to make sure that we are able to provide that. That's probably more critical now. Most of it's just been backbone work up one street, but now they're going to be really into every neighborhood in those zones.
I think Lisa's reached out to Roger, but he hasn't responded to her.
I know Utopia's hesitant because if they put something out, then people are going to expect to be able to sign up, and we're just not quite there yet.
But we can say what we've done, though.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a great opportunity for us to brag what's been done and maybe what's coming with no, right? I just think it's a great opportunity for marketing for us, right? To
If
say
we
it's
want to put
coming.
out that they have 60% of the backbone in, that's fine. I mean,
Well, but I would also clarify what the backbone,
Yeah.
What that means.
because everybody's gonna go 60%, woohoo!
yeah, that's my point.
I don't know that would be.
I understand, but I think that Lisa can craft that.
I went through and looked at what other cities have done in the past, right, and
Yep.
their progress. They took the opportunity to brag about it, right, and say, this is what's coming, this is what to expect, and if you have questions, here's the website, right, and we just push it right to them, and so, anyway.
Yeah. We'll work on something to send Lisa.
Thanks, Marty.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Denise.
It's audit time, oh yes, it's audit time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite time of year. No. Sid likes Halloween. So the auditors came on site yesterday. And so it's going to be a lot of fun, as it always is. Something that'll be a little bit different when we receive the CARES money and as we get the ARP money, that triggers a single audit, which is a federal audit. When you receive $750,000 or more from the federal government, then it requires a single audit. And we get other grants from the federal government. A lot of our police grants, some of our other grants are federal, but they're under the $750,000. So this definitely is triggering that. So we'll have that for the next couple of years as we move through this money. So it just adds things to the audit. So, but yeah, they're on site and they're moving, and hopefully sooner the better, and then it'll be budget time.
I walked by the room, they look really scary in there. I don't know.
They're not bad. So, yeah. So, yep, they're here, and,
Yeah, right?
yeah, so.
Thank you. Any questions for Denise?
No, thank
Okay, thank you. Kathy, how's the elections going?
I saw that there was a post.
They couldn't be better. For Pleasant Grove, we're awesome.
Okay.
Scott didn't mention this, but I just want to mention that Kyler also came down to Public Works and he was helping answering phones. In fact, a lot of time, well, one time we forgot he was there and we, the phone would ring and we'd go to pick it up and somebody had already answered it, and then Kyler comes walking out. So he was quick on the draw to answer phones and stuff. He was awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Scott?
With his professional voice.
We're entering into holiday season, so I'll be sending something out after I talk to the mayor about our annual little gathering that we do in December, get a date solidified. I saw that I think everybody responded regarding the joint work session with the Alpine School District. When we met with them last week, that was something they brought up, that they, partially they want to show city council what they have going on, but also relationships, make sure you know who they are and they know who you are. So, and they did discuss probably a breakfast or a lunch meeting or something like that, where it's somewhat informal, but a little more casual in that
Will that
sense.
be here or there? Do we know yet? Or
Well,
we leave that to-
they had suggested that maybe we do it up at the Space Center.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, somewhere in PG was kind of where they were doing, but the logistics will get figured out, but as soon as that gets solidified, I'll let you know.
That's great.
Kyler?
November 2nd, we're going to have a flu shot clinic. And so if for the people who are on our insurance, we're inviting them and their families out to get a shot. And that's going to be in the morning. I'll send an email about that. Cybersecurity training we're pushing, so you might have received emails, and so that's another thing we're pushing right now to be.
Completed.
And Councilmember Williams was done within minutes. He
Dang it.
passed
I'm
with
a
flying
cyber- I'm a
passed with
cyber-
flying
but I'm a
colors.
cyber guy. So it
I'm
was,
a cyber girl. I was right behind you.
it was quite interesting. It was very good.
And lastly, we are getting a badge printer that will be coming. So if you don't have badges, ID badges, those will be coming out within the next month or so that you can be official. Whenever you want to look official as a city council member is when you would wear those.
Sid, let's talk offline. No, I'm serious.
They're also they're really important in critical incidents to have an ID badge that would identify that you're someone that maybe the National Guard could let in to a particular building or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's also going to be
their
their,
government employee. There's benefits there.
it'll be their key card too, right? Okay.
Oh, hallelujah.
Now you're in favor, huh? Okay.
Thanks, Kyler.
Yeah,
I'm so
Brent,
tired of
we'll move on up here. Do you have anything?
I don't, thank you.
Todd? Todd?
Actually, I do.
Okay, back to you.
I probably should have said this one, Marty. Marty, I've had a couple of residents just ask us about street striping. With all of the rain, it's really hard to see oftentimes when you have wet roads. Is that a plan that we have? Is that
We approved something. We actually approved.
and they're gonna do all
They're-
the striping.
Yeah, so we just barely put out a 3-year contract a month ago. I think you guys just approved that. Planning, we've got a ton of roads that are in the works right now. We've got to wait for good weather, but we'll be
Yeah.
striped this fall. And then we've got them on a 3-year contract. So yes, we're trying to get those upgraded and updated a little bit more efficiently. Before it was like, who do we call?
Yeah.
Anything over 5,000, we have to get 3 bids, and by the time we get the bids, it's like past a month, and it's a pain. So anyways,
Cool.
we did it this way. We got a 3-year contract now. We'll be able to call them up and say, hey, get this done this year.
And those are just on our roads, not necessarily state roads or
Only
county
our
roads.
roads. Yeah, this
Right?
one.
So what do we do on county roads, and state roads?
Like where?
So
Well, like
we
State
would
Street.
call and we
State
would-
Street would be state, First East would be county.
Yeah, we would have to just refer them to the state and ask them. So if you guys know of something that's very bad, If you want to send it to me, I can send it to our state contacts or the county and say, hey, we've got this issue, so.
Cool, awesome.
So the county we have that big contract for the county, the 30-year contract for them to redo that. They are responsible for the painting, but we are responsible for crosswalks on that and signage. And so, anyways, we do have, if it is like striping issues with the school crosswalk on First East, then that's us, but otherwise.
Awesome, okay, great work.
Anything?
They'll stripe that in the second fall, which was after the first winter.
Yeah.
Correct.
Diana, do you have anything for us tonight? Sid, do you have anything for us tonight?
Just a reminder that you're invited to come up to my house after council. I'd celebrate Halloween, just to walk through the craziness that ensues during this month.
Will the
So-
guided tour or
Sure,
not?
you get a guided tour,
All
a
right.
seance, a guided tour, whatever you want.
Probably will skip the
I've got some
seance.
pumpkin cookies, so don't feel like you have to, but I'll be there until 8:30, at which time I have to prepare winter clothing to go to the flag football game at 9. So come up anytime. You can bring your families. Like I said, you don't feel obligated, but
Well, this
I like to warm
this
holiday
meeting might
hearts.
go until about 8:30, I think, tonight.
It won't.
Oh, okay.
Unless you can talk a whole lot.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
And I want to say special thanks. Big O went really good, the ribbon cutting. That was really, really good. And then again, I think we've already talked about the 25th. We'd love to have all the departments there and support the community, and we're working hard to get all the businesses as we can.
One question, and this is for Scott. I know that every department has their own fleet, and I don't know how they manage their fleet, but have we ever considered, and this is probably Kyler's job, a fleet manager that would, for servicing, like when I was at Big O, I was just like, do each of the departments do that separately, and do they get, what kind of a deal do they get, and would it be a better deal if it was larger numbers?
So are you saying, as far as the maintenance of the vehicles, if we just had a contract with one particular group? We have not done that, but that's a good idea. We can look at that. Some cities will hire their own mechanic, and they'll
Right.
just.
They actually have a fleet manager and
Yeah.
a fleet maintenance,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know that.
We haven't ever considered, we did this was years ago, we did a cost analysis on that. It was cheaper for us to
Individually.
do it individually. And part of it is, particularly with the police department, which I think has our most vehicles, those, because we rotate them out, those are all under warranty, and so we don't have a ton of maintenance on them.
Got it.
And I can't remember if the oil changes come with that. Well, Dion's not here, but if that makes sense. But I think it's a good idea that if we just had somebody under contract for some of this
Yeah.
maintenance, so similar to what Marty's talking about, instead of just one-off and things, we just have somebody we have a go-to.
Well, and the reason we were talking about it is because the tiller went to Big O, I think it was the tiller, and they just lit up talking about working on that tiller. So,
I love that too, because then we're supporting local business.
and these are two individuals, grandparents, I mean, like maybe 4 generations
Whole family
of,
line, yeah.
of PG residents.
Oh, really?
So the Marcia
The Grays.
Gray and Jerry Gray, this is their son, and they bought it from Jack Larkin. Drew's back there nodding like he knows what I'm talking about. Oh,
They treat us really good. They're the only place that you get the tires for our ladder. We called a few places, some guy.
wow.
That's awesome.
Can't get any, and they help us out. I mean, we get a state bid. There's a
Yeah.
different price for it.
And the son, PG, so here's grandparents, kids, and now their son
That's awesome.
works there too.
Yeah,
So
that's a good idea.
I'd
We'll
just
take a
like
look
to
at that.
look and see, is there benefit in grouping together, or is that more work?
Hey, Scott,
you.
just one thing, we would have to do a competitive bid. If
Yeah.
they're not on state
Oh,
contract,
you're right.
then we'd have to put an RFP
Yeah.
out.
Well,
Just to let you know we'd need to do that.
I'd be interested in
Well,
doing that.
and I
though.
wonder if they're on the state bid, because it's Big O.
They could be, yeah,
Yeah.
I could look.
Okay. I have one last question. Dion's not here though, but maybe between you and Marty might know. We are
Yep.
supposed to have our library sign installed
You know,
over
I don't know
three weeks ago.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Dion would. Yeah. Dion has been the one that's been in touch with. I talked to him last week before I left and said, when are we on the schedule? And he said that they told us that we were coming up. But I don't have a specific date.
I just don't want to turn into Center Street First East.
That will get put in before the year's out, before winter's hits. Second winter.
Okay, second.
Eric, really quick, I don't think we've met since we've had Viking Day, so I want to give a quick report.
I think we'll have to leave that to the next session.
I'll be really quick. Okay, you guys, Viking Day, I was shocked. It was the biggest hit ever.
These guys are huge.
Even though it was terrible weather.
It was, well, no, it did not rain one drop here. It was chilly.
Really?
It did not rain one
It
drop.
was raining at my
So,
house.
it was not, I'm telling you. So I was really worried. I'm like, no one's gonna come, no one's gonna show up. This strongman competition, they do rain or shine. So I'm like, okay, there'll be a few people there for that. It was packed, okay? I mean, the high school kids came out, they all had booths. Officer Ruiz came out. He started the multicultural club up at the high school. They were selling these food dishes that were amazing. There was food trucks. There was a strongman and strong women competitions. There were people.
How'd you do?
I didn't compete. I mean, they were picking up
I know.
boulders, like squatting all the way down, picking up a boulder from almost sitting position, and then walking with the boulder. Like, it was amazing. People from other cities were coming. They had a beard contest. They had, like, it was, Viking music was playing. Brock from the high school, Coach Moore, was walking around in full Viking gear. The drill team performed. I'm not joking. It was so much fun. I was shocked at the turnout because I thought no one's going to come because weather. It was chilly, but we sold almost out of every T-shirt. Like, people from other cities, it was so much fun. So I'm just saying that for next year to plan. I love the departments there because, I mean, we're all Vikings. Yes. The high school, we're going to try and get more clubs there. There were 25 booths. Wow. It was awesome. So I'm so excited. Wow. Just to have this like kick off. There was a lot of Viking pride, and it was just a fun day to celebrate. And anyway, that's the recap on Viking Day.
Thank you, Councilmember.
It was really fun. So.
All right, we need a motion to come out of work session.
So moved.
A motion by Councilmember Williams. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. We're adjourned.